Okay, sorry. Hare Krishna. Like to welcome our youthful participants for this very interesting discussion. I would rather say conversation on friends. And facilitating this conversation is His Grace Shubhvilas Prabhuji, who has lived many lives as an aspiring engineer, a fierce corporate lawyer, a renounced monk, a prolific author, and now a leadership coach. So, we all understand that friends are very important for many of us, especially for the youth. They are a source of pleasure for us and sometimes sadness. Sometimes we don't understand why they behave in a particular way. Sometimes we don't understand why we behave in a particular way towards them. Sometimes there is confusion, a lot of questions. So this is going to be a Q&A. This is going to be a conversation between the youth and Shobhlas Prabhuji, who's actually authored a book on friends. So he has a lot to share and we have a lot to gain. So, with these words, we would start the conversation with Prabhuji. This is not going to be a talk; it's going to be a conversation. So, if you are inspired to ask a question, just raise your hand, and we will unmute you, and you can ask your question. Okay? Thank you very much. Yes, we already have some hands being raised. Please shoot.
Okay, Hari
It, all,
Prabhuji.
it almost feels like KBC.
Prabhuji, my name is Gandharvika and I'd like to ask you a question. So, considering that today's topic is about friendship, so many times when we talk about the term friendship, it's very important to know how each person defines the term friendship, because for everybody the term friendship might be, it's a very subjective term, might be very different and might come with a lot of different things. So what according to you would be the definition of the term friendship?
In my understanding, the word friendship represents someone, a relationship where we feel ourselves, a relationship where we don't have to be like somebody else, a relationship where uh, the best out of us comes out. And it's a relationship that is our comfort zone.
Yeah,
Does it
that
make sense,
makes
Gandharvika?
yes, it does. It does. Continuing on that question, uh, we know that it's, friends, especially at this age, like especially when you're in the teen section of your life, it's very important. Friends are a very important part of our life. So my question is, how important is it for you to have or make the right kind of friends? And when I say that, what qualities should you be looking for in a friend? It's like a circular question, one is dependent on the other. So how does it work?
So I can tell you about my life. When I was in fourth standard and all the way to seventh standard, I did not have any friends. And I really, those were the worst years of my life. If you ask me even today, so many years later, I can still tell you those are the worst years of my life because I felt so alone and I felt so uncomfortable with people around. I was in a very snobbish type of school, just couldn't connect with anybody. And then when I was in seventh standard, my parents shifted my school, and it became an all boys school, and it became like a crazy, I mean, the first school I had about 20 people in the class, and in the second school I had 70 boys in the class. And there, the atmosphere was so different. I actually started breathing, and there I found two boys who became my best friends, and till now, 25 years later, they're still my best friends. And from the time, so the fourth to seventh standard, I practically scraped through my exams. I practically scraped through every year. I just don't know how I passed also. My teachers, in fact, told my father that if you retain this boy in the same school, we have to keep him back in seventh standard. And when I moved to eighth, and I got these two boys who became my best friends, I started excelling in academics. I actually started coming first in almost all the exams after that. And I'll tell you that friendship was a turning point for me in my life. So that answers your first question. You know, how much you need them, because they can break you or make you. That's the kind of understanding I have about, especially at this age, basically. And what you need to give is the same thing. So when I always tell people that for everything in life we prepare ourselves, right? For exams we prepare ourselves, to getting into interviews and jobs you prepare yourself, getting into best of the educational institutes you prepare yourself. For very important things of life you prepare yourself. But unfortunately, we think that we are always prepared for friendship. I always tell people that we need to take our time to prepare ourselves to become a friend first. So before we have expectations from others, we need to prepare ourselves first. I hope I answered your questions, Rindarvika.
Yes, yes, you did, Prabhuji. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. My name is Ria. I
Yes.
wanted to ask you, Prabhu, why does it get harder to make friends with time? Like when I was a kid, it was like very easy. I connected with the person just on the basis of our favorite colors. Like I like yellow, she likes yellow. Okay, she's my friend. But that doesn't happen when we grow older, right? So what stops us from making friends as we grow older? And why does it get difficult over time?
Beautiful question. I'll answer this question in a slightly different way. Many times people ask me for tips of how to become a good writer. And this is exactly what I answer, and this is the answer to your question also. I tell people that in everyone's mind, there's an editor sitting who edits all your ideas, who edits all your thoughts, who edits all your, preferences. And in the end, you have nothing to write, because that editor inside you is so strong and powerful. And that editor is the biggest enemy for writing. Same thing with friendship. In our childhood, we would not think at all, just do what we want to do, because our mind was so clear and the editor was not yet active. The more intelligent you get, the more the editor becomes powerful. So I always tell people the most talented people are also the most lonely people in the world. So education makes you talented and talent makes you lonely. So I really wish sometimes we were less intelligent and we were less talented, so that we had more friends and we would be more happy.
That answers my question, Prabhu. Thanks a lot. Hare Krishna.
So,
I think
Prabhuji, my name is Janvi, and I would like to ask you a
Janvi, you
question.
need to speak a little loudly, please.
Okay, am I audible, Prabhuji?
Yeah, better.
Yes. So it's a very basic question, but something that I've always been thinking about is how is it that we can maintain a friendship that doesn't, probably break or yeah, it should just stay the way it is. How do you work on that?
Maintenance is always the tough part. For every relationship in this world, there has to be very powerful deposits that we make to sustain the relationship and to maintain its purity and sanctity. Just like a well, when there is water in the well, but if water doesn't get added or doesn't get taken off, the well starts stinking after some time. If you have seen this green moss that gets accumulated in many water bodies, it's simply because it's not used. So anytime the well is used, either adding more water or taking out water, the well remains fresh. The moment the well becomes stagnant, it becomes useless. Same thing with friendship. Sustaining friendship is all about adding and subtracting, giving and taking. So the more you give and take, love, gifts, all kinds of emotions, reveal your heart, so many things. That's how the give and take actually keeps the friendship fresh.
Prabhuji, I think that was a really wonderful analogy. I'm going to stick into my mind forever now. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
I have a question as well.
Yes, Prakriti.
Hi. So I wanted to know, how do you give as much as you receive from your friends? How do you reciprocate adequately?
My humble understanding is this: you should give with no expectations.
Right.
So when you should give with absolutely no expectations. But you should expect only 50% back in return.
Okay. That's a nice formula.
I'll tell you, this formula is based on a story from the Mahabharata. So let me tell you the
Wow.
story quickly.
For sure.
Once, just as after the Mahabharata war got over, Yudhishthira is a king. And one day, a man walked up to Bhima with a problem. He
Right.
said, I have one big pot and I fill it with water. And once the water is filled in the big pot, I empty it into 5 small pots. And the big pot is completely empty. And then I take water from the small 5 pots, put it back into the big pot. This time, the water is only half full. So he asks Bhima, what happened to the other half of the water? So Bhima said, I have no idea. He took him to Yudhishthir. And when Yudhishthir heard did you understand the problem? So one big pot of water, he transferred into 5 small pots. And when you transfer the water back from the 5 small pots back into the big pot, there's only half the water. Other half disappeared. So, when Yudhishthira was asked this question, he simply made one statement. He said it simply means Kali Yuga has begun. And the understanding he gave is that in this age, if you give 100% in a relationship, you'll get back only 50% in return.
Understood. That makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, my name is Judge Gadvi, and
Yes.
my question is that it is not necessary that our friends will never be hurtful towards us with respect to their words or with respect to their behavior. So I just wanted to ask that how can we be more confrontational in our friendships? So like how can we confront them in such a way that we don't jeopardize our relationship or our friendship? So if you can throw some light on that.
Thank you for that question, Josh. Usually, people go into two extremes. One is suppression, that means suppress what they want to speak because they're scared that it might break the friendship. Or they express, but when they express so badly that it breaks the friendship, basically. So suppression is one extreme, wrong expression is other extreme. If you suppression is like time bomb. You keep suppressing. One day it will blast. When it blasts, everything is over. And wrong expression is like right now there's a blast. So usually people don't understand that there's a mid path. The mid path between suppression and wrong expression is right expressions. So wrong expression, usually people say, I'm very frank. But actually they're not frank, they're blunt. There's a difference between frankness and bluntness. Frankness doesn't hurt, bluntness hurts. So when we express ourselves, we shouldn't be blunt. We should be open and we should express in a way that is as loving as possible. Remember, even when you're angry on somebody, you still love that person, right? And the most sensitive thing for most human beings is words. Words can really pierce hearts too much. One wrong word used in anger, it will completely destroy all kind of connections. So please be careful when you express, because that expression can probably destroy the connect. So the right expression is very, very important.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Can we have Mohar from the audience?
Hare Krishna, Dalvat Pranam Prabhu. Can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yes, Mohar. Yeah.
Okay, Dalvat Pranam Prabhu. Prabhu, I have a question to you that I oftenly can't stick with my schedule, and I'm trying my best. Many devotees suggest me to take association of devotees. I did it, take Krishna Prasad. I take Krishna Prasad since my childhood. My parents are devotees, initiated devotees. So since childhood, I'm taking Krishna Prasad. But anyway, I'm trying my best level. But anyhow, I'm not getting committed to my schedule. I always made my schedule. I still make it, but can't stay committed. And that's why I feel unsatisfied. Like I love to sing. I love to practice classical music. For a decade nearly, I'm practicing Hindustani classical sangeet, and I want to be a playback singer. So daily you must practice all those details things like tabla or any other things, harmonium, tanpure, anything. But I know those skills, but just knowing those skills doesn't help. You have to hone the skills, right? You have to hone the skills. So I do not stick with the schedule, especially at this point of time, like from this last year, I'm getting addicted to scrolling mobiles. So too many obstacles from within and from without also are coming. And for that reason, I'm not getting committed to my schedules. How can I stick with my schedule even after waking up in the early morning, 5 o'clock, 5:30? Still nothing works.
I'll give you a couple of suggestions from my side which might help you. One is to make anything a habit, which is like, something which is a positive habit. Don't make it difficult. Like, say, for example, to practice harmonium, if you make it difficult, you will end up not practicing. Like, say, for example, if it is kept locked in a case, it will take you like 5 minutes to just open that case and unlock it and then start practicing harmonium. You might not end up doing it. But if all it takes is just sit and play, you might do it basically. So the idea of creating any good habits is make it easy. It's as simple as that. Just make it easy. The more easier you make starting that thing that you want to do, the greater chance you will do it. Why do we scroll mobile so much? Because it's so easy. You don't have to really struggle to scroll it. It's just so easy. So anything that is easy, the mind tends to do. And for any habit, you have to be able to do it quick. Suppose you think that I want to do for 1 hour. So you start planning for 1 hour slots. You will not get even one. You will not get even one slot in a day. But anything you want to do, try a 5-minute slot, a 2-minute slot, 3-minute slot, short slots. You will easily find those. So many people ask me, how do I write? Well, I've written many books. I started writing the first time in 2013. The first book I ever wrote in my life, 2013. And now it's 2021. I've written close to about 22 books so far. Almost like 2 or 3 books a year, the last 8-9 years. So people always ask me, how do I find time to write? And I give them a very simple answer. I tell them, I don't find time in hours. I find time in minutes. My suggestion to you is, please start looking for time in minutes. You'll find plenty. And second is to make it easy for yourself. Keep the harmonium open. Keep the tabla accessible. Keep it very convenient. Then you will do it faster. Okay?
Thank you. Yes, thank you for your suggestion. Please bless me. I'm younger than you, Prabhu. I heard about you from my father.
I'll definitely pray that you become a super successful singer, but more than that, you become a very satisfied singer.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Rishikesh, you want to go ahead?
Rishikesh, please speak. Unmute yourself and speak.
Okay. Rishikesh, we're not able to hear you in case you're speaking. You are on mute. Okay. Probably you can go to Tejas.
Hare Krishna.
Tejas? Yes.
Hare Krishna. Actually, my question was that I wanted to develop friendship with Krishna. So
What's your name?
we say like puppets that I want to become a friend of Krishna, but we don't act we don't act as if a friend. So how to get interest in friendship with Krishna? Can you explain?
See, developing friendship with Krishna is just like developing friendship with anybody else. How do you develop friendship with anybody? The first thing you do is you start talking to that person, ask him, what do you like? Do you like mangoes? Do you like oranges? You ask him, what sport do you like to play? Then you ask him, what do you like to eat? So you keep asking so many questions, and that's how you get to know a person, right? And if many questions also are very similar to what you are, then you start developing a great connect. So usually the first step towards knowing someone is to developing friendship is to know someone. And you know someone by asking good questions about that person. If you want to develop friendship with Krishna, just keep asking the right questions about him. Keep thinking about all the aspects that you would like to know about him. And slowly, as you keep knowing more about him, you'll realize he's your best friend. And the most amazing thing is when you experience Krishna all around you, you will find his reciprocation coming regularly, right? So Krishna is not someone who is like a fictional character. He is very much he's very much someone who reciprocates. But we should have the faith. So my solution to you is first develop knowledge about him. Try to spend some time understanding more about him. And when you try to understand more about him, he will put effort in understanding more about you. And that's how your friendship will grow. Okay?
I have a question, another question.
Yes, please.
So I wanted to know how to set boundaries in friendships, how to set healthy boundaries.
So, yeah, when you really want to set boundaries, a lot of thoughts in my mind about, what do you mean by boundaries in the first place, because there must be some reason you're using the word boundaries because normally you don't really think from boundaries point of view when it comes to friendship.
Yeah. If I had to elaborate, I would say that when you get close to someone, they sort of become your family. If you get close to your friend, so sometimes boundaries are crossed in terms of anything. Like it's as simple as even someone forcing you to do something, or someone making you feel like you have to do something that you're not obligated to do. So how do you politely set boundaries, and how do you set realistic healthy boundaries? Yeah, I know it's a loaded question, but
I'll give you a very simple answer.
Yeah.
In the Ramayana, you heard of Lakshman Rekha.
Yeah.
When he drew that circle around Mother Sita and walked away, right?
Yeah.
So Lakshman, what does the Lakshman Rekha indicate? The Lakshman Rekha indicates there is a boundary that someone should not cross. So Lakshman tells Sita, if anybody crosses this boundary, then you should know that the relationship is dangerous. So in every one of our lives, we should have something known as LOR. You heard of LOC, right? In border India-Pakistan, there is a whole huge line drawn. It's called LOC, line of control.
Yeah.
One enemy crosses, if a Pakistan guys comes this side or India guys goes that side, gone, war begins basically. So you cross the LOC, fights begin between two countries. You cross the LOR, relationships start dwindling. So every relationship should have a line of respect that you should maintain. Do not allow anyone to cross the line of respect, no matter who it is. Sometimes, even with your parents, you need to have that line of respect. So you might take the relationship for too much for granted. With your teachers, you can cross the line of respect, right? Any relationship when you cross the line of respect, it becomes disrespectful, and the relationship goes into a wrong war zone, basically.
Right.
So with your friends, you should be very clear. You're my best friend, but I have a LOR.
That's great. Thank you so much. I'll keep that in mind.
Prabhuji, I do have one more question. So, there are times when we voluntarily, distance ourselves from a particular group that you were a part of, and the reason is that we probably would be wondering or feel that they are not the right people for us, not in the sense that they are bad or something, but we just don't feel they are correct for us, appropriate for us. But once you leave that group, distancing ourselves with them, there are chances that they get rude or nasty with us, and as a result we may start questioning our self-worth and all. So in relation to that, Prabhuji, I have two questions. That firstly, is there any particular or a specific reason to why would these people behave with you in a nasty way? And if so, like, how do we deal with it, and how do we not let that affect us and our mentally and physically and everything?
Janvi, you froze for a bit.
uh, yeah, so Prabhuji, I was saying the second question was that if at all they do behave in a nasty way, how do we deal with it, not letting it affect us mentally or physically?
Usually, why people bully others is because every bully is insecure. So usually we tend to think bullies are strong people, but the reality is they are very weak people, and they show their strength by suppressing somebody else, by bullying somebody else. When they bully a person, and the person gets bullied, they feel they are powerful. Usually, the bully is the greatest coward, because strong people don't suppress others to feel good. Strong people help others grow to feel good. So when you find somebody suppressing you, you should understand that person is weak and that person is struggling. So when you look at someone who is trying to suppress somebody else, and it's you understand that that person is struggling actually. So rather than getting scared of that person, you should feel bad for that person.
Prabhuji, so sorry, but as you said, that person is struggling. Does it mean that that person himself or herself could be a victim of being bullied himself or herself?
It could be a victim of being bullied, or it could be a lot of lack of self-esteem. So they want to get back their self-esteem by doing some shortcut.
Right.
Right. So usually you get your self-esteem in two ways. One is by working really hard on something that makes you proud of yourself. The second way is that you use shortcut like this. Suddenly you start feeling proud of yourself because you start feeling strong, right? Without any work. So usually a lot of people adopt that method.
Right. And yeah, Prabhuji, and how do we overcome, like, it's okay, how do we just pacify, not letting that affect us?
So usually to deal with bullies, there are two ways. One is stand up and tell them, stop doing this. It takes a little bit of guts to do that. And if you're not able to do it, seek help. Seek help from someone who can help you do it. And I'll tell you, in today's time, there is so many types of bullying that happens in the world, including online bullying. I know so many people who just get bullied left, right, center by somebody. And you know what the typical tactic of a bully is to create fear in your mind. They create unnatural fear in your mind. And that is the fear that actually makes you do anything they say. So usually we ourselves are not able to clearly understand, how to deal with it. So it's great to take help. It's great to take help from someone whom you have faith in and also who is capable of handling. And I'll tell you, once you seek help now, your problem gets solved like this in a matter of seconds. So what has taken you hours and hours of so much stressful pain in your mind can actually be solved in seconds if you seek help. But the way the bully deals with you is they try to corner you in such a way that you don't go for help. That's their trick. The moment you ask for help, that's it.
That makes a lot of sense, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We have Yashasvi
Yes.
who asked a question. Yashasvi, unmute yourself and speak.
Yes. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I wanted, can you please recommend some good books which are not more based on philosophy, but on stories and biographies?
All the books I have written, highly recommended. So, Yashasvi, I can highly recommend you to read Mystical Tales for a Magical Life.
Yeah, that
It's a
I
book
read.
you will. Oh, you read? Okay. So that means you already, okay, great. So I don't know if you have read Ramayana, the Game of Life series. Have you read those?
2 volumes I have read.
So anyway, so that means you have connection. So Magic of Friendship is something that you can read. But if you want something beyond the ISKCON circle, I can recommend you a couple of books that will help you, which are story-based. There is one book. It's called. Have you gone into the zone of Alchemist of Paulo Coelho and that kind of zone?
Nahi.
Okay, so you can read that. It's a beautiful story. You can definitely read that. If you like short stories, there are many that I would like to. I can recommend you. I can send you a list of good books that you can read, which are
Okay.
fun at the same time learning. Okay, HFP. You can get in touch with any of our devotees, and I'll make sure that I send you the list. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
We have Anaya Jonki. Kindly unmute yourself and speak.
Yes. Hello, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Anaya.
So, my question was how to start making friends that actually become family. That type of friendship.
So, to make friendships deep, first thing is you have to prepare yourself for it.
Yeah.
So the way to prepare yourself is simple. Usually, what happens is we tend to prepare one of the reasons why we don't get great friends is because we tend to look at other people's faults very easily. So there are two things, right? There's a lenses. We wear lenses, and we become experts at finding faults in others. And the more faults you find in people, the more you will avoid them. And that's how you don't end up making any friends. The first step in making friendship is first look at your own faults. That's why we need a mirror. Mirror is used to show you your faults. Unfortunately, when we look in the mirror, what do we see? We don't see our faults. We only see beautiful, beautiful people looking back, right? Nobody looks in the mirror and sees faults. The first step in friendship is first come in terms with your own faults. The second step is try to find good in others. When you do these two things, you will find a magical difference in the way people look at you.
Yeah.
And the third step is listen to what they have to say. Usually what happens is when we're talking to somebody, we are excited about telling our story. We're just so excited to tell our story to them, You will make more friends by listening to their stories and telling your story.
Yeah.
Just do these three things to begin with. you'll find a massive difference in the way people connect with you.
So the first step is to, sometimes ignore the faults they have, like correct them maybe, but like, there should be communication.
See, first deal with your faults.
Deal with your faults, right?
Don't be so excited to correct other people's faults.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. They will sort. They will deal with your faults. See, we take responsibility of other people's faults, unfortunately, but we don't take responsibility of our faults.
Yeah, Prabhuji. And Prabhuji, I have another question. How to make people interested in becoming your friends? Like what, like Prabhuji, you understood, right? What I meant?
Right. The formula to make people interested in you is simple. Be interested in them. When you are interested in them, the automatic result is that they are interested in you. When I'm saying you're interested in them, what does it mean? I'll give you a simple example from the Ramayana.
Yeah.
The residents of Ayodhya, Dasharath was asking the residents of Ayodhya, why do you want Ram to be the next king? You know what they told him? They told him that we want Ram to be the next king because he spends so much time with us. And they told him that when we are in problem, when we are sad, Ram comes and he cries more than our family members. And when we are happy, he comes and he celebrates more than our family members. We don't know why he does that. And because he does that, we just love him.
Yeah.
Simple.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Just be interested in them. That's it. They will love you.
Okay, Prabhuji. And my last question is how to, like, for example, if you have like a friend group and actually I joined a new school, so like I joined another friend group, but like I want to become close to each person in the group. Like, sometimes when they go out, they don't call me because apparently I'm not a part of the group yet. So like, how do I become like a main person in the group, or like how do I like become close to each one of them? Do you have any tips on them?
See, the thing is, you can't force yourself anywhere. It has to be a very natural entry. And any group is ultimately made of human beings, individuals. So if you really want to be a part of any group, first become a part of people's lives individually. Invest time in people. Invest energy in people. Invest love in people individually. So when you have touched every person's life individually in the group, you're automatically part of the group.
But Prabhuji, what if they don't want to be friends with you? So then how do you?
If they don't want you, you can't force yourself in. Don't even try that. Don't
Yeah.
try that. See, you should not try to enter a place where you're not wanted. As simple as that. There will always be a lot of people that will want you. Spend time there. Okay?
Thank
you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. There is a question by Tanish. She's asked that, is it correct to look for qualities in a person, in a friend, even though I don't possess these qualities myself?
Absolutely. Tanish, that's the way to do it. See, friendship is to fill the lacuna that you have in life. Friends are supposed to complement each other. That means I have some strengths, but I have some weaknesses also. And a friend has a strength, he has some weaknesses also. We come together. I help him with his weakness and he helps me with my weakness. I use my strength to help him. He uses his strength to help me. That's what friendship is. So if you find complementary friends, wonderful.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Opposites attract.
Opposites, absolutely.
Prabhu, I have a question. Riya here.
Yes, Riya.
Prabhuji, like we are in a group of people, and like what we notice always is that, and with ourselves also, is that people change with time and even we change with time. So the group of friends that we had say 10 years back, not everyone would be the same right now. And some of the times the friends change in a way that is not favorable for you. So, but you still are a part of that group. So how do you not let them affect you at the same time you be in the group? How do you not let them influence you?
See, this word friendship is a very loose word. But in Sanskrit, there are 4 words that describe friendship. And it describes 4 levels of friendship. The first level is called Bandhu. Bandhus are associates. All your classmates are Bandhus. All your neighbors are Bandhus. All your playmates are Bandhus. All your group mates are all Bandhus, basically. You can have 1,000 Bandhus. All your Facebook friends, all Bandhus, basically. You can have 1,000 Bandhus, no problem at all. The second, so Bandhus are people that you network with. They're not your friends technically. They're your network. The second level is Sakhas. Sakha is a little deeper than Bandhu. Sakha means friend. Sakhas are those people that are interested in you. They spend time with you. They are a little more interested in you than Bandhus. So you can have, so if you have 1,000 Bandhus, you can have about 50 Sakhas. So these are people that you like hanging around with, and slowly over a period of time, these are people that you start aligning with. Out of the 50 Sakhas, 5 of them might become your Priya Sakhas. Priya Sakhas are best friends. These are people that will stay with you for life. You won't find too many Priya Sakhas. 25 years later also, you pick up a phone and call a person, and if he or she is a Priya Sakha, it will feel as if it is yesterday. That's a Priya Sakha. If you find somebody going away, that's not a Priya Sakha at all. They were Sakhas or Bandhus, basically. You understand? And the 4th level is Suhrit. Suhrit is higher than best friends, basically. You can have one Suhrit in your entire life. Suhrits are wise people. Every human being should have one Suhrit. So the Suhrit could be your mother, father. Suhrit could be your guru, your teacher. Suhrit could be your classmate also, but of a little higher intelligent and of a little higher knowledge level than you. They're typically mentors. They're people who guide us. When we are in trouble, the first person we call is a Suhrit. When we are very happy, the first person we call to share our joy is a Suhrit. So Suhrits are very rare species. You'll get one in a lifetime maybe. But what you are talking about is Priya Sakhas. So if you have 4 or 5 Priya Sakhas, be contented. You are really lucky. You'll have plenty of Sakhas and unlimited Bandhus. Don't even bother about them. They come and go. So the question is, are you talking about a Priya Sakha or Bandhu or a Suhrit? Then we're talking something serious. Other than that, don't be so bothered about all the details. Okay?
Okay, Prabhu, that answers my question. Thank you.
The problem in English is friends is so general, but
Yes.
we just feel everybody is my friend.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Prabhuji, I had another question. So,
Yes.
sometimes it does happen that we've been friends, like 2 or 3 people have been friends for a long period of time. But obviously, as we grow up, our priorities change. Sometimes we have to move out to different locations as well. So, at that time, how do you actually establish such a friendship, or how do you form such a foundation to your friendship such that you can take over from where you left off the last time, like when you meet next, maybe because there has been a gap because of whatever, you've not been able to meet for a long time, or you've not been able to talk as much regularly as you would do before. So how do you like deal with that?
See, it's like this. If you are getting into a long distance connect, or a little complicated connect in this way, you should have had unlimited deposit before. Only then you can capitalize on it as you go ahead in life. But if you have not had those unlimited deposits before, with time it will fizzle out. So the long distance connections, obviously, of course, nowadays it's a little different, but traditionally, at least, what I would believe in is this: if you have had personal deposits a lot in people's lives, then it doesn't matter. Like I told you, right? I have two really close friends. I don't talk to them on a daily basis, but when I talk, it's straight heart to heart talks. It's beautiful. It just feels exactly the same, basically. So I don't have to be like somebody else to them. They don't have to be like somebody else to me. It's perfect. So for that, you should have had a lot of deposits in the past.
Right. One more question I had is that sometimes, people say that friendship is either overrated or friendship is underrated. So, what is your opinion on both the sayings? Like, what is it exactly?
I'll tell you a very simple thing. You look at some of the biggest problems in the world today: depression, drugs, whether it is really bad things like rapes, or like young people talking bad about their teachers or getting into all kinds of wrong habits, any of the, or obesity, or any of these very dangerous things for youngsters, all of them are connected to friendship, each and every of them, directly or indirectly. If you had the right kind of friend, you would not get there. And if you have the wrong kind of friend, you easily get there. As simple as that. Now you decide whether it's overrated or underrated.
Right. Thank you. Yeah.
Amita, would like to ask?
Yeah, Amita, please.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes.
So I have one question. When do you know when your friendships are getting toxic? You want them, you still want to talk to them, but how do you know when to cut it off? Because the cons are much more than the pros. And the cutting off hurts, but you know that you have to do it. But when do I have to actually take the step? How do I know that?
See, friendship or any kind of relationship has to bring a smile to your face. Any kind of relationship has to enhance the quality of your life. Any kind of relationship has to add meaning to your life. If any relationship adds pain, and there's only pain, not worth it. If any kind of relationship adds fear, absolutely not worth it. If any kind of relationship feels like a threat, absolutely not worth it. And if any kind of relationship is exploitative, absolutely not worth it. So if you find any of these four things happening in your friendship, run away. Okay.
Thank you. We have Dhanashri Tekale. Can you unmute yourself and ask your question?
Prabhuji, I had the same question as Amita. Sometimes it happens that we get associated with someone, means who is a classmate, batchmate. We do have friendship, and then they becomes our closest friend. But after some time, you realize that they are not good for you. Means they are not the one with whom you will be able to progress, or else they are some type of different from you. Means they may pull you down. So at that time, what should we do? Whether we should stay connected with them or should we cut them off? Means we do seek for a good association. Yes. So if someone others behave like that with us, that we are part of them, and then they suddenly start ignoring us, then we will also feel hurted or bad. So what should we do at that time?
As I said, any relationship that hurts you is not worth having. But at the same time, we should also remember that we should be very careful that we don't give up too soon. So many times, somebody says something small, you just say, you forget it. That's not how it should be. I'm talking about exploitation. I'm talking about serious issues. Then you run away. But when it is small things, and small things could be very serious for you, but it may actually be small in the long, from a bigger perspective. You try your best, and if it doesn't work, then you can choose to give up. But toxic relationships immediately you should give up.
Okay, Prabhuji,
Okay.
thank you. Hare Krishna.
I have a question.
Who's this?
It's me.
Prakriti. Okay.
Hi. So I wanted to know how you stay away from friends that have a bad influence in your life and focus on what you really want to do.
You're asking me how to stay away from them?
Yeah, maybe like peer pressure and you know. So this is from someone who's younger than me. So I feel like it would be relevant to those people.
So when it comes to peer pressure, see, it's like this. If someone is putting a pressure on you to improve you, to help you improve, then that person actually is your friend. It might seem pressure, but actually they are our well-wishers, right? Because if pressure is not put on us, we're not going to improve at all. If
Right.
somebody is lazy, and somebody is trying to push you, and you can't say, "Are this fellow is putting pressure on me?" No, he's trying to help you go ahead in life. In fact, that's what friends are meant to do, right? So if you find someone trying to assist you in your growth, it's not pressure. It's actually a great help.
Right.
Pressure is when somebody is telling you to do something that you don't want to do, should not do. That's pressure.
Got it.
I remember I was with a group of my friends in my college days, and they were all, young boys and girls. They were into drinking and all that. So
Right.
one guy, still I remember this. He bought a glass of whiskey or wine. I don't even know what it is. Till my mouth, he kept it here. Here he kept it, and he's forcing me, drink, drink. I said no. He's like putting it over here and he's telling me, drink, drink. I said no. And finally he backed off because I said a no so clearly and so loudly, he backed out. So when you find somebody putting pressure that way, and once you have decided on principles, see, it's like this. When it comes to fashion and trend, go with the word, go with the flow of the word. But when it comes to principles, stand hard like a rock.
Wow, that is very profound.
If somebody is trying to push you based on your principles,
Just a question to what Prakriti asked, that sometimes my friend expects me to behave in a way that is contrary to my nature because they appreciate that kind of behavior, but it's not in my nature to be like that. So, what should I do in such cases?
see, when the idea of nature is it's a very vague idea, right? What is your nature? You've not yet figured out. A lot of times, someone may actually think that this is good for your growth and maybe pushing you to do something that is good for your growth. And you're thinking that this is not my nature. Like, for example, my nature is to be lazy. And somebody is pushing me to do something actively, and you think this fellow is pushing me against my nature. The question is your nature to be lazy? So a lot of times when our friends are pushing us, they're actually wishing well for us. But if they're pushing us to do something that is totally wrong, and totally contradictory to the person we are, and it's not good for our growth, then we should firmly say a no. Really. But I think it's always great to give benefit of doubt to begin with. So I always tell in any relationship, begin by giving a benefit of doubt. Usually people do the opposite. They begin by doubting intentions. So in deep relationships, especially deep friendships, you should always begin by giving a benefit of doubt.
Thank you. Thank you, Prabhuji. Vihan, kindly unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yeah, after Vihan, Radha can ask. Okay, she's been up for long.
Sir,
Yes, Vihan.
how to make friends with wild animals because they always are so bad?
You said how to make friends with wild animals?
Yeah.
Why do you want to make friends with wild animals?
If people ever go into the forest, they just attack from the back.
See, basically, forest is their place, right?
Yeah.
Your home is your place. If a wild animal comes to your home, what you will do? You will also attack them, no? So if you are going to their place, they'll attack you naturally.
What are we gonna do? Whatever they are, whatever whoever is going to do, they are gonna do.
I'm saying, if they come to your house, you will attack them, no?
Before I can even go and fetch something, they'll attack me.
Vihan, my suggestion to you is please stay away from wild animals. Not everyone can make friends with them. When you grow up and you really learn about the science of animals, because you have to learn a lot about how they speak, their whole language, what their needs are, only then you can make friends with them. So if you don't know, stay away from them, okay?
Vihan, we'll go for a jungle safari together. Okay. Thank you. We have Radha.
You're mute, Radha.
How do you make a good friendship with non-devotees, especially Christians and other religions too? Because it's close friendship, and that's going to be hard because if I go to their house, they're going to cook meat, and I'm going to be grossed out. So, how to make good friendships and also not be too preachy and all that stuff.
I told you about my two best friends, right? One of them is a Muslim. His name is Azhar Ali Dawasas. He's still my best friend. He respects my principles. I respect what he is doing. He doesn't push me to do what he is doing. I don't push him to do what I'm doing. As simple as that. So the way to do it is simple. Don't push them and don't allow them to push you. When you respect them, they will respect you. As simple as that. Friendship is not based on any religion, any nationality, any of these external barriers. It's beyond all that. You understand? So the moment you start talking about differences, it causes problems. Start talking about similarities. Start talking about what you can do together, and rather than talking about what you can't do together, right? So usually the differences are very minimal, realistically speaking, and they're so minimal that they can be easily taken care of if you are sensitive to each other. Okay.
Yeah, I have another question. So, in what you were talking about, initiating conversations and talking about your experiences, and also hearing about other people. But from my experience, when I try to talk to my friends, they're not really into sharing much. And so if I try to listen, there's just going to be silence. So how do we start with that?
If you find friends who are not ready to share, then you have full freedom to share. You keep speaking, no problem.
And sometimes you can share too much that they take advantage of the information.
See, listen, it's okay. Let them take advantage. What I mean, you don't have any big Swiss bank account details that they want to take advantage of, right? Your details are so small that what are they going to take advantage of? Don't worry, let them take advantage. It's okay. See, friendships develop when you take risks of letting people take advantage of you. That's when you'll get at least some really good friends. If you are like wanting to be 100% safe and secure, you will get no one. You understand? No relationship gives you a 100% guarantee on day one.
And I have a third question. It's kind of like Rehan's question. And I want a cow and some other kind of pets. So is it good to have pets? You know, not just friends with people, but also animals? No, because I really want a pet.
See, having a pet is a responsibility. It is not fun. So if you're thinking that you want to have a pet for fun, then you are in big trouble. Because pets are not fun, they are responsibility. So if you're ready to take responsibility of them, and everything they do, all the mess they make, then you can have a pet. But if you're not ready to take a responsibility for anything, all the mess they do, you only want to do all the goody things with them and let your parents take care of all the mess, then that's not right.
Because I see all my friends have dogs and then they're always cuddling with them. And then I'm like, then I can always cuddle.
Think about it a little more. Think about what I said a little more, okay?
Yeah, Prabhuji, just to take a cue from Radha's question, is that, we sometimes distance ourselves from friends who are not practicing our principles because, our eating habits, our topics of discussion are quite different. So unconsciously or consciously, we tend to move away from them. So what are your thoughts about this?
So as I told you, I have so many friends who are not at all connected to Krishna consciousness, but I still love them and they still love me. Obviously, we don't meet as often as we used to in the past, but the connect is still very, very strong. Some of my best friends are Christians and Muslims. As I said, my best of the best friend is a Muslim, and I love him and he loves me. But our connection is a very respectful connection. He has extreme level of respect to what I do. Appreciative very, very heavily of what I do. In fact, he spends time listening to my lectures, reading books which I write. Though he has absolutely no connection with the faith that I am in. But he knows that if I am doing something, it must be something valuable, right? And I try to understand what he is trying to do in his life. We don't get into the dynamics of what our differences are. See, the thing is, the reality of the world is, it depends on what lens you wear. If you wear the lens of trying to find differences, there's a lot. But if you try to wear the lens of trying to find similarities, there is so much more, actually. So I would look at connections at that level. Not just with just devotee, non-devotee friends, even with devotees I'm talking about. There is so much connect that two human beings can make if they simply stop looking at the differences.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Josh here. So,
yes.
Just wanted to ask that even before COVID-19, a lot of relationships, a lot of friendships were created online because of social media and all of these other platforms. And because of COVID-19, meeting new people, meeting your friends online or through virtual platforms has become inevitable now. So just wanted to ask, how do we differentiate genuine friendships, both online and offline? So how do we differentiate?
So that is why, see, especially online, it's so much more difficult to differentiate because there is a lot of non-verbal communication that happens by looking at people. Eyes speak a lot, you know. Your gesture, your posture, your facial expressions, they speak so much. It doesn't happen online. It's very difficult for that to happen online. Obviously, it can if you do video calls and stuff like that, but it's still difficult. Because what happens in a Zoom call typically is that the background is set, right? The way you're sitting is set. And it's all a very orchestrated, you know, thing basically. So when you have an orchestrated setup, it's not too genuine, you know, for that matter, basically. Most people, what they're wearing up and what they're wearing down, there's no connection between the two, right? So same thing, what they're showing and what they are, there may be no connection between the two. So similarly, you should. That's why, you know, having the realistic experiences of friend connections is so. It's not possible to replace it. But yes, you can meet online and then actually start meeting offline. Then it becomes much deeper, basically. And then obviously you can continue online, you know, all lifelong if you want. But without that personal touch, without the personal connect, having a 100% faith is not that easy.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you.
Prabhuji, we have 3 more questions. Do you have time to take them?
Yeah.
Okay, so Manaswi, can you please unmute yourself and ask your question?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. My name is Manasvi. So my question to you is that if there's a situation where you have been alone for many years, you are not having any friends, but suddenly you get a friend who starts talking to you and you get attached to that person. But that person in some instances is clever, leaves you behind doing his or her work, not respecting you, not just in words, but by their actions. They do not respect you, let you down, but still you move on. You're just like, it's okay, they are my friends, I forget it, it's okay, it happens. So what is that feeling? It's because you seriously, you really love them, or it's because you have been lonely, you need someone in your life, you need a companion? That's it. Thank you.
Honestly, it's both. See, we tend to make friends when we are lonely and we need someone. And somebody enters into your life and you feel that that's the perfect friendship. And then at a later point, you realize that this person is not really a good friend, you know. It's okay to make mistakes. When you are developing any relationships in this world, it's okay to make mistakes. Don't blame yourself for mistakes you've made. It's okay. You're a human being and humans only make mistakes, right? But you have to learn from every mistake you have made. You made a mistake, don't let it repeat again. If you've invested your energy, heart, you know, your relationship in some connect very strongly, and that person has let you down, the next relationship that you have, please be very cautious. In the sense, it's not that we stop having faith in friendships at all, but it's just that we tread the path a little more carefully. And especially for someone who trusts people easily, and also for someone who doesn't have a very good judgment of human beings, it's good to tread the path cautiously. But again, as I said, one person making a error in the relationship doesn't mean that we give up on relationships completely, right? And also spend some time understanding yourself. Honestly, the way I feel after hearing your question is that you need some guidance on understanding yourself a little better so that you're more prepared for friendships. Okay?
Thank you, Prabhuji. Kriti, can you please ask your question?
Yeah. So what if you meet your friends online, but you don't know their personality and stuff? And how do you know they make a true friend?
So I was giving an answer sometime back to someone about the same question. See, online friendships, you should take it with a pinch of salt, because unless and until you actually look at a person, understand the background of the person, also understand the family background of a person, it's not the safest to deposit, deep relationships in any person. So I would always recommend you to be a little aware, you know, of online friendships, because there are so many cases of people who have taken advantage of others because through the online connections, because you, on the other side of the screen, you have no idea who's there and who that person is in real, right? So you should be a little careful, and rather more careful, basically. Okay.
Okay, thank you. We have a last question by Gandharvika.
Hi, go ahead. So Prabhuji, my question is that many a times, like, when you've been friends with somebody for a long time, after a point, like your lives change, you venture out into different areas and stuff like that. So is it possible? Is there a possibility that, if one is doing really well and the other isn't maybe doing that well, is there a possibility of a kind of subtle rivalry that might crop up between friends, however close they might have possibly been, but maybe not very outwardly, but like at the back of your mind, or maybe some subtle rivalry or jealousy, maybe you can say.
It's definitely not easy to see your closest friend become a hero suddenly. Not at all easy. When Hanumanji was with the Vanaras in the south, searching for Mother Sita, he was one of them. And the moment Jambavan spoke to them, in 5 minutes, he became a superhero. The transformation was so sudden, from a normal person to a superhero in literally 5 minutes. But when those Vanaras looked at him on top of the mountain in such a massive form, they didn't say, "Arey, ye to apna hi aadmi hai. Humne chaddi mein dekha isko." They didn't say things like that. But they celebrated his success. They were cheering, clapping, and so happy that he's become a hero. It's not easy to do that. Not easy to do that. And I can tell you from my own life that there will be some people who will not be able to handle your success. They'll move away from your life. Remember that it's not about you. It's their own struggle. They have to deal with it. They have to sort it out. But from your side, you be yourself. Don't change 1 inch. No matter how successful you are, no matter how big you become, no matter how popular you become, no matter how rich you become, whatever, you don't change 1 inch. So whether people want to accept your friendship and be genuine to it and deal with their envy and come back, that's up to them. So it will take them some time probably to deal with their envy and come back. Let them take their time. You don't stop your growth. At the same time, you don't change yourself. Over a period of time, people will realize that you are still the same person. They'll come back. They would have sorted themselves mentally, and they will come back. When they come back, accept them as they were from the past. Don't start thinking that when I was growing, this fellow ran away and suddenly now he's come. It's okay.
Right. So Prabhuji, I think that the part that you said that you don't stop growing, I think many times what happens is that we tend to put all our focus on that part. We tend to ignore the second part that you said, that you don't change a bit, because I think that's sometimes the reason that the equation between friends change generally. So I think that's really important. The second bit is important that we should keep in mind. Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you, Prabhuji. There are still questions. I'm sure we're going to have a session with you again soon, where our youth will come face to face and ask their concerns and challenges to you. These questions were pretty complicated, and you answered them with so much of conciseness and completeness. This just goes to show the knowledge you possess, and I'm sure all of this comes by your reading and writing. It is easy to give an answer in many words, but to give answers in fewer words is very, very difficult. Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for being on the show with us. And please continue joining us and answering the questions which our young at heart and young in age are experiencing. Thank you very much, and Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. All those young kids who couldn't ask their question, don't worry, we'll come back soon again.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.